Good day, everyone. Welcome to the STEM Lockdown Digital School. This is a grade 11 life science. I am your presenter, Unkarabetse Setswe. Guys can get hold of me on Twitter at unkarabetse_s. Right. So yesterday we started with a new topic, gaseous exchange, and we touched on some few definitions. So I'm just going to do a quick recap of those definitions. So we looked at the definition of cellular respiration, and we said that this is the process of breaking down glucose to form energy, and water and carbon dioxide are waste products. We also looked at the definition of breathing or ventilation, and we said that this is the process of inhaling and exhaling, and it's a function of the respiratory system. We also looked at gaseous exchange, and we said that this is a diffusion of oxygen and carbon dioxide across respiratory surfaces of an organism. And we said that in diffusion, substances move from a high concentration to a low concentration, right? Then we also looked at external gaseous exchange, and we said that this is the movement of oxygen from the lungs via diffusion into the blood, and the movement of carbon dioxide also via diffusion from the blood into the lungs. Right. And we also looked at internal gaseous exchange, and we said that this is a gaseous exchange between the blood and body cells, right? And oxygen diffuses from the red blood cells to the body cells, and carbon dioxide diffuses from the body cells to the blood in order for it to be expired or exhaled. Right, so now we are going to, we also looked at the need for gaseous exchange. Why do we have the diffusion of oxygen and carbon dioxide happening, right? So we said that the body requires oxygen for respiration, right? And then carbon dioxide is a byproduct. Okay, so our body needs oxygen and we need to take out the carbon dioxide, right? And we also looked at why our bodies need this particular oxygen. And we said that oxygen is required for cellular respiration. Okay, and remember guys, in aerobic respiration, we have the breaking down of glucose. Okay, so, and that process is called glycolysis, right? Okay, and we also looked at this example where, and this is an example of a human being, right? So a human uses their lungs as a gas exchange system, right? So we breathe in air, which has oxygen, and it will move via our pulmonary veins to the heart, right? That is from the lungs. So from the lungs, this oxygen that we have breathed in will move to the heart via pulmonary veins, right? And then from the heart, it will move to the cells, tissues, and organs of our body, right? And our body then will release carbon dioxide that has formed, like in all cells, tissues, and organs, and they will move via the arteries, which are in blue. Just get this, yes, via the arteries, right, to the heart, and from the heart, it will move back to the lungs, and then it will be expired out, right? And remember, guys, I said, please revise the circulatory system that you guys dealt with in grade 10, okay? Right, so we also looked at the requirements of an efficient gas exchange system. The first one, and I'm just going to go through this again because most of our lesson is based on this. Firstly, in order for an organism to have an efficient gas exchange system, it should have a large surface area, right? Because a large surface area ensures that large amounts of oxygen is taken in and large amounts of carbon dioxide is taken out, right? The second thing is that the surface area must be moist, right? And this is so that the gas exchange surface does not become dry or desiccate. Third reason, The gas exchange surface must be thin to allow for quick diffusion of gases. Fourth reason, the gas exchange system must have a transport system to carry the gases to and from the gas exchange surface. Fifth reason, a good ventilating mechanism is required, right? To ensure that gases rich in oxygen is drawn in and carbon dioxide is driven out. Sixth reason is that the gas exchange surface must be protected because this surface is thin and delicate. So guys, we need to know all these 6 points, the requirements of an efficient gas exchange system. So if we can just quickly revise them, the first one is a large surface area. Secondly, the gas exchange surface area must be moist. Third one, the gas exchange surface area must be thin. Fourth reason, we need a good transport system. Fifth reason, we need a good ventilating system. And then the sixth reason is that the gas exchange system or organs must be protected. Okay. So remember, guys, if you do have any questions, you can post them on the group chat. And if you do need me to go slower, just indicate for me using the icons at participants. Right. Right. Okay, so now let us look at gaseous exchange systems. So we are going to look at various gaseous exchange systems and organs of the following organisms, whether they meet the 6 requirements of an efficient gas exchange system. And so the first organism that we're going to look at is your dicot plants. Secondly, the earthworm, the insects, bony fish, and lastly, mammals, which we will hopefully cover in Monday's lesson, right? Okay, so now let us look at gas exchange organs in dicot plants. So guys, just quick revision. We know that dicot plants are flowering plants with a taproot system, amongst others, right? Remember, this was dealt with in plant diversity. Okay, so these plants can photosynthesize, right? And gases move through stomatal pores, which are present on the leaves. Okay. Sorry about that. Right, now let us look at the first point. All green parts of the plant contain large number of stomata, and even the woody stems have large amounts of lenticels. So these ensure large amounts of oxygen and carbon dioxide enter and leave the plant. So guys, as you can see, the first requirement is already met. There is a large surface area because of the many stomata that the leaves has. Right, and then second point, the spongy mesophyll cells of the leaf act as a gas exchange surface. So these mesophyll cells are also surrounded by a layer of moisture. So now our second requirement is also met here because the surface area is moist. Okay. Third bullet says the mesophyll tissue is made up of mesophyll cells that are thin-walled, and this makes the gas exchange surface thin. So our third requirement is also met. Then fourth bullet, mesophyll tissue have a large number of intercellular air spaces that allows for easy movement of gases. So that basically just serves as a transport system. Okay. And then plants do not require a ventilating mechanism because the gases simply diffuse in and out. So it doesn't have a ventilating system, right? Dicot plants don't have a ventilating system because diffusion takes place. It's just simply diffusion, right? And lastly, the mesophyll cells are found within the leaf and therefore they are protected. Okay. So now here is a beautiful picture. So in this side here, where we have the plant, the root, the stem, and the leaves, this is basically showing us process of photosynthesis, right? Where we have the carbon dioxide getting in, the oxygen going out, and the water from the roots also going to the leaf, right? So I just want us to just quickly focus on this picture here on top. So here we have the gut cells. Remember, guys, the function of gut cells, they help in closing and opening the stomata, all right? And the stomata, it diffuses out water and oxygen, and it takes in carbon dioxide, right? And these are the air spaces that we spoke about, which are the good transport system. And we have an epidermis there. And we also have our mesophyll cells there. So the epidermis also serves as the protection of our mesophyll cells, right? Okay, now let us look at gas exchange organs in the earthworm. So guys, as we remember that the earthworm is part of the phylum Annelida. Remember, this was covered in plant diversity, right? It's a triploblastic organism and also has a cloem, which is the body cavity, right? And it's a invertebrate, right? So the earthworm basically, it uses its skin as a gas exchange surface, right? So its skin is the gas exchange organ or gas exchange surface. Right, let us look at the earthworm in much detail. So the skin of the earthworm is used as the gas exchange surface. This creates a large surface area, right? The earthworm's skin is kept moist by chromic fluid and mucus. It is also kept moist because it lives in damp soil, right? The earthworm is surrounded by a thin epidermis. Again, the earthworm has a large number of blood capillaries below the epidermis. And then it does not need a ventilating system because gases move into and out of the organism through diffusion. And lastly, the skin of the earthworm is protected by chromic fluid and mucus, right? So basically, the earthworm also meets all 6 requirements of a efficient gaseous system, right? So the only thing that we could say it's shorting, it's the ventilating mechanism, but it is not necessary in an earthworm because it simply moves gases through diffusion, okay? Right, so this picture, I got it from the ACID grade 11 life science study guide, and it explains gaseous exchange in the earthworm beautifully. So let's just start here on the left. So it says that earthworm does not need a ventilation system and the gas exchange surface is on the outside. Remember, the gas exchange organ of the earthworm is its skin, right? And then it has a large enough surface area to provide enough gases for the worm, right? And then here we can just see a cross section. You say the skin, right, of the earthworm is thin, right? And then it is also moist because mucus is secreted by special glands and it lives in moist soil. Remember on the previous slide, we said that earthworms are found in damp soil, right? And then another thing about the skin is that it is protected by a cuticle and slimy mucus, right? And this is not enough protection in dry air, and hence we find the earthworms only in damp soil, right? And the last point here is that it has a good transport system of blood vessels under the skin to transport gases quickly away from and to the skin. Yeah. So guys, remember, if you do have any questions, just post them in the group chat. And if you do need me to go slower, you can just indicate for me using the icons on participants. Right, question. The many stomata of the leaves ensures A, a thin gas exchange surface, B, a moist gas exchange surface, C, an increased surface area, or D, the presence of a ventilating mechanism. The many stomata of the leaves ensures A, a thin gas exchange surface, B, a moist gas surface, C, an increased surface area, or D, the presence of a ventilating mechanism? Please send through your answers on the group chat. What is the function of the stomata or stomatal pores, as other textbooks may refer to it? So I'll give you guys a minute. Right. Let's see what the answer is. So the answer is C, an increased surface area, right? Okay, so I've got an answer, which was D. Others said D and others said C. All right, so guys, look at the question. It is not asking what the stomata's role in the plant is. It's asking about having a lot of stomata present on the leaf. Okay, so yes, the stomata is it's a gaseous exchange system, but having lots of them ensures that we have an increased surface area for the diffusion of gases. All right, so I hope everyone is clear on that. Just please indicate for me. Right, beautiful. Okay, another question. The mesophyll cells have A, thick cell walls to ensure rapid diffusion, B, cell walls to allow for rapid diffusion, C, cell walls for protection, or D, both A and C. The mesophyll cells, mesophyll cells. Send through your answers, guys. You have a minute. Right, let's see the answer. So the answer is B. They have thin cell walls to allow for rapid diffusion. Right, so they don't have thick cell walls to ensure for rapid diffusion. Okay, so remember guys, the second, I think it was the third requirement, we said that the gas exchange surface area needs to be thin. Okay, so guys, it is not A, to those of you who answered A. And those of you who were confused between A and C. Right, so do you all understand? the mesophyll cells need to be thin. It also meets the third requirement where we said gas exchange surface area needs to be thin in order for diffusion to take place, rapid diffusion to take place, right? Okay, so let us move on. Let us look at gas exchange organs in insects. Right, so insects, guys, they're also invertebrates, right? And they have an exoskeleton, but can't necessarily use the exoskeleton as a gas exchange surface. So instead, it has spiracles on it, and this is what serves, or rather, this is where gas is exchanged. Okay, so here we have a picture of a typical insect. We have a head, has a thorax and an abdomen, and we also have air sacs inside the insect, and the trachea, which is running through the whole body, and the spiracles, which are present to let air in and out, and that is present on the exoskeleton. Okay, guys, so just a quick question. What is the difference between invertebrate and vertebrate? What is the difference between vertebrates and invertebrates? You can just send through your answers to the group chat. Why do we say insects are invertebrates? Okay, let me just read the answers for you guys that you guys gave. So the first answer I got is that they ain't got no backbone. Yes, that is correct. They don't have a backbone. Then the second answer I got is that they have exoskeletons. Yes, insects do have an exoskeleton, but remember again, that is not the differentiation between vertebrates and invertebrates, because earthworms are also called invertebrates, but yeah, they don't have an exoskeleton, right? And then another answer is that insects don't have a backbone. So yes, that is basically the differentiation between your vertebrates and your invertebrates. Okay, the presence and the absence of a spinal cord or a backbone. Right, so now let us go back to gas exchange organs in insects. Okay, so firstly, insects contain a large number of spiracles, which increase the surface area, right? Secondly, in the bee, liquid is found at the end of the tracheal tube, keeping it moist. So the tracheal tube would be this one here, right? And thirdly, in insects, the cells are surrounded by a thin cell membrane only. All right, so this is what ensures that the gas exchange surface area is thin. And then fourth reason, or the fourth characteristic, insects like the locust have a system of tracheal tubes that carry the gases throughout the body. Okay. So I have a question. Do insects have lungs? No, they don't have lungs. They have air sacs. Okay. Insects do not have lungs. They have air sacs. Okay. So as I was reading, I think, yeah. The fourth point, insects like the locust have a system of tracheal tubes that carry the gases throughout the body. Okay. Right, and then the insects, such as the locust, also have a tergo-sternal muscles that bring about ventilation. So remember we said ventilation is the inhalation and exhalation of air. Right, and lastly, the tracheal system of insects are found within the body of the organism and is therefore protected in this way. Okay, so the Exoskeleton will also form part in protecting the tracheal system. Okay. The spiracles, which are found on the outside of the organisms, are covered by spiracle flaps. So when diffusion needs to take place, the spiracle flaps will open, and if diffusion does not need to take place, they will close. Okay, so here is also a diagram which details gaseous exchange in insects. Okay, so let us start here. We said we have the trachea and tracheoles, which form the internal transport system, making each cell close to a gas exchange surface. And then the gas exchange surface is at the end of the tracheoles, so right here. And these are your tracheoles, and that is your trachea, okay? And that is your exoskeleton. So basically, this is the inside, right? And this is your spiracle. This is where we say diffusion occurs. So carbon dioxide is diffused out and oxygen diffused in. Right, so ventilation is caused by diffusion of gases moving to and from the cells. The surface area is large. The trachea and tracheoles take up half of the volume of the insect, and then it is also moist as it contains moisture from the cells, and it is thin. Right. Okay, so guys, just please check out this study guide, ACID study guide for grade 11 life sciences. You can get it on Snaplify, right? It is free. It's an ebook. As you guys can see, it's a PDF. And I have used some of the information that I got from it on this lesson, right? Okay, let's move on. Let us look at gas exchange organs in a fish, right? So firstly, we all know that fish are aquatic animals, right? And they use gills as an exchange surface system, right? So that is very important to note that they use gills. Okay, so firstly, the gills of a fish are made up of many filaments, and this increase the surface area. Okay, and then the gills of fish are kept moist because the fish lives in water. And then the gill filaments of fish are thin. Remember, that is what increases the surface area, the gill filaments, right? And then the gills of fish have a large number of capillaries. And those capillaries, they ensure a good transport system in the fish, all right? And then oxygen enters the gills of the fish when water with dissolved oxygen passes over the gill slits, right? So I'll just show you, okay, yeah, here is the picture. Okay, let me just read the last point, is that gills of fish are covered by gill flaps, and this provides protection. So here we have a picture of the fish, and water would enter the mouth, right, of the fish. And then once the water passes over the gills, then the gills will take in the oxygen, which is from the water. So basically, as blood flows over the gills, then the gills pick up the oxygen from the water, and it moves through the blood capillaries, right? Right, have a question. The earthworm has a rich capillary network to A, increase surface area, B, ensure the gas exchange surface is moist, C, transport gases to and from the cells, or D, none of the above. You guys have a minute? The earthworm has a rich capillary network. So A, increase the surface area. B, ensure the gas exchange surface is moist. C, transport the gases to and from cells, or D, none of the above. All right, beautiful. So most of you guys said C. Okay. C. So yes, the answer is C. The rich capillary network found in the earthworm is to transport the gases to and from the cells. So it serves as a transport system. Right. Next question. The gas exchange surface of the insect is kept moist by A, spiracles that open to the exterior, B, tracheal tubes that go to the inner parts of the insect, C, a liquid found at the end of tracheal tubes, D, none of the above. All right, so I got C, 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 and A. See what the correct answer is. B. No, that is a mistake. Sorry, guys, the answer is C, right? It's the liquid found at the end of the tracheal tubes. Okay, so sorry, my mistake there. The answer is C. Because the spiracles that open up to, the person who answered A, spiracles that open up to the exterior, they function for the diffusion of gases, right? The tracheal tubes, they take the gases towards the cells of the body, right? And A, the liquid found in the end of the tracheal tubes, that is what keeps the gas exchange surface moist, right? So yes, the correct answer is C. Okay, now let us move on. Gas exchange and surface area and volume ratio. Right, so now the rate of gas exchange is dependent on the organism's surface area. Right, I hope you guys do remember what surface area is from your math. Okay, so this is basically how much of a solid object is exposed, right? So that is basically what surface area is. And then the surface area is the area that is in contact with the surrounding environment. Then therefore the ability to meet the gas requirements of an organism depends on the surface area to volume ratio, right? As an organism increases in size, both its surface area and volume increase, but the volume increases more than the surface area. Okay, so then we have a large surface area is an advantage since more gases will enter the organism. As an organism gets larger, its surface area to volume ratio gets smaller. Okay, because remember we said that the volume would increase more than the surface area. Okay, and then smaller organisms have a larger surface area when compared to their volume. Large organisms have smaller surface areas when compared to their volume. And therefore, smaller surface area is exposed to atmospheric gases, and then a transport system must be present to transport the gases away from the gas exchange surface to ensure that the entire organism gets gases, right? Okay, so then here we have the surface area volume ratio is calculated as, wow. Okay, guys, the surface area volume ratio is calculated as surface area on top, right, as a denominator, over volume as a numerator, right? So that is how surface area to volume ratio is calculated. We have surface area as a denominator and volume as a numerator, right? So I hope everyone got that. Surface area as the denominator and volume as the numerator. So that is basically how surface area to volume ratio is calculated, right? Right. Now let us look at the terminology that we have dealt with so far. We looked at cellular respiration, and we said that it is the process during which glucose is broken down to release energy. Oh, guys, another thing, just be mindful of your definition of the process of glycolysis and the definition that you would give for cellular respiration, right? So remember, the aim of cellular respiration is to get energy, all right? And the aim of glycolysis, in as much as it releases energy, it also breaks down glucose to pyruvic acid, right? Just be able to differentiate between the two. And then we have our second term, carbonic acid. This is the acid which is formed when carbon dioxide mixes with water. Then we looked at gaseous exchange. It's the process during which one gas is exchanged for the other. And the gases that we are looking at is oxygen and carbon dioxide. Then we looked at spiracles. These are the external respiratory opening on the body of an insect. Then we have gills, which are respiratory organs of a fish. Then spongy mesophyll cells. These are the round to oval shaped mesophyll cells in the leaf. Then the squamous epithelium, this is flattened, thin-walled tissue making up the alveoli, and we will look at that when we deal with gas exchange system in mammals on Monday. Then the sternum, which is the breastbone, we'll also look at that on Monday. Okay. Right. Let's look at another question. The tergo-sternal muscles of the locust, A, protects the gas exchange surface. B, acts as a ventilating system or mechanism, sorry. C, keeps the exchange surface moist, or D, none of the above. Remember the tergo-sternal muscles, we said they are found in locusts. So what are their function in locusts? Is it to protect the gas exchange surface, to act as a ventilating system, or to keep the gas exchange surface moist? Okay, so I have B, A, B, and A. Right. Let me just give you one more minute for everyone else to send through their answers. All right, cool. Let's see what the answer is. So the answer is B. It acts as a ventilating mechanism. All right. To those of you who said A, it protects the gas exchange surface. Remember we said that in locust, the tergo-sternal muscles, they are inside the exoskeleton. So the exoskeleton will protect the tergo-sternal muscles, right? So they don't serve as protection, but they use the tergo-sternal muscles as a gas exchange surface, all right? So you guys just refer to the slides that we have just covered. Okay, next question. The gas exchange surface of the angelfish is thin because A, the gill filaments are thin, B, gills are divided into many gill filaments, C, fish live in water, or D, it has a rich supply of blood vessels. What makes the gas exchange surface of a fish thin? Right, so I have A and A. No, A, okay. So someone else answered B, right? Let's see. So the answer is A. The gill filaments are thin. So remember, gills are gills, ne? And then the gills have gill filaments over them. Ne? So the gills are not divided into gill filaments. Gills and gill filaments, two separate organelles, right? So just to clear the confusion on that one. Right. Okay. So yes, guys, thank you very much for joining in today's lesson. So we have covered gaseous exchange, right, in totality. So what is left for you guys to do is basically study and do some questions, right? And I will provide you guys with some questions. On Monday's lesson. And then Monday, we will start off with the human respiratory system. And we'll also look at how the human respiratory system is adapted to have an efficient gaseous exchange system. Right, guys. So thank you very much for joining in today's lesson. Have a good day and enjoy your weekend. See you guys Monday. Right.